However, after a moment, he dismissed that thought. After all, who would be able to survive such a powerful explosion? He was an intelligent person. After mulling over it for a moment, a name appeared in his mind. No way. Fan Shouwen. The first person that came to Mingshi Yin's mind was Fan Shouwen. Of all the people caught in the blast moment ago, Fan Shouwen was the only one who had a possibility of surviving. His two subordinates, Yu Chong and Duan Yanhong, did not have such capabilities. Zhou stood atop the flying chariot. He looked down on the charred lands. He had seen the arm as well. Master, there's a possibility this is Fan Shouwen. He's truly tenacious. There's no need to trouble yourself, Master. I'll kill him on your behalf. Mingshi Yin grinned and raised a hand. His separation hook hovered above his palm and glowed faintly. We must be careful when facing such a powerful enemy. Duanmu Sheng was speechless. Old Fourth, you've always been good at bullying the weak. Mingshi Yin had just walked up to the charred arm when Zhou's voice reached him. Dig. Huh. Duanmu Sheng explained. Master wants you to dig the soil around the arm, so we can see who it is. Oh. Mingshi Yin recalled his separation hook, feeling slightly puzzled. What a shame. If he could kill such a powerful opponent, nobody would dare look down on the name of Mingshi Yin. He casually waved his arm, and a weak energy loosened the soil around the arm before pushing them away. Mingshi Yin clicked his tongue as he marveled. Master, it really is Fan Shouwen. I didn't expect him to survive that explosion. This is a miracle. Zhou said, there's a Taoist technique called the blood escape technique. By using up decades of one's own life and essence and the power in one's Dantian Sea of Qi, one can form a protective layer over one's body. The others on board the flying chariot were shocked to hear this. Pan Zhong said with a nod. However, there's a hefty price to pay for using this blood escape technique. If your Dantian Sea of Qi is damaged, your cultivation base will be forfeit as well. Why would he go to such lengths? For a cultivator, unleashing the blood escape technique could save their lives, but if their cultivation base was destroyed, what reason would they have to continue living? They would be better off dead. Fan Shouwen's choice truly puzzled the others. Mingshi Yin cursorily examined Fan Shouwen. A shocked expression could be seen on his face as he said to Zhou and said, Master, he's still alive. However, he's very weak. This is the best time for us to kill him. I'm an expert at striking when someone is down. Duanmu Sheng was speechless. Zhou Jifeng was puzzled. Duanmu Sheng regarded Mingshi Yin with slight disdain. He did not like to strike a man when he was down. Zhou Jifeng was the first disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, after all. His behavior was still in line with the Noble Path's principles. Even if he secretly wished to do it, he would never allow himself to actually do it. Mingshi Yin conjured up his separation hook again. Zhou stroked his beard. He looked at Fan Shouwen indifferently and said, Fan Shouwen has committed crimes all his life. He probably didn't expect this outcome. I think he made this choice, so he won't die with regrets. Pan Zhong said, I think Fan Shouwen's will to live comes from his wish to witness Mo Li's death. Bah! Why should we fulfill his wish? Ridiculous! Does he think the Evil Sky Pavilion is a charity organization? There's no time. Before he breathes his last, I'll end him with my blade. Mingshi Yin was slightly anxious to get on with this. Duanmu Sheng could not take this anymore. He pulled Mingshi Yin and said, Old Fourth, our current priority is to locate Elder Hua. You're right, third senior brother. Mingshi Yin nodded. The two of them looked around their surroundings. Apart from a few onlookers who were brave enough to stay behind, they did not see anyone else. At this moment, apart from the cultivators in Tongzi town, who had run away, some of them kneeled on the ground and kowtowed. They seemed excited. Unfortunately, their cultivation bases were too low. Otherwise, they would have made great lackeys in the Evil Sky Pavilion. All of a sudden, Zhou said, Bring him back to the Evil Sky Pavilion. Huh? Bring him back to the Evil Sky Pavilion? Fan Shouwen is an 8-leaf expert, after all. Since he hates Mo Li so much, we should keep him, Zhou said. Yes, master. Although Mingshi did not like Fan Shouwen, he had to obey his master's orders. He raised a hand. A wave of energy lifted Fan Shouwen up. He channeled some primal chi to protect Fan Shouwen's heart and meridians to keep him alive. The moment the Greenwood Heart Technique specialty was manifested, Fan Shouwen's aura gradually stabilized. Mingshi carried Fan Shouwen as he stepped to the air and returned to the flying chariot. Elder Hua. Zhou Jifeng suddenly pointed east. He stood at the highest point after all, so it was easier for him to see further. At this moment, Hua Wudao was dragging his exhausted body along. His clothes were tattered, and his face was riddled with wounds. He walked with heavy footsteps toward them. Duanmu Sheng walked with spring in his steps and went to support Hua Wudao. He looked around before he asked with a frown, "Where's Luo Shi-san?" Hua Wudao sighed and shook his head. He glanced at Duanmu Sheng before glancing at Lu Zhou, who was on the flying chariot, and said, "His sword skills are too powerful. I couldn't do anything to him." Lu Zhou looked at Hua Wudao intently before he said, "But he couldn't do anything against you either." After all, Hua Wudao had a 9th character in his 6 compatible C. Even if they fought a battle of attrition, Luo Shi-san had to be able to endure it as well. Hua Wudao nodded. It was a tie. "So where's Luo Shi-san?" Mingshi asked. "He left." "You." Mingshi swung his arm. He felt slightly annoyed by this. How could you let someone whom the evil sky pavilion wants to kill go? Everyone was looking at Hua Wudao at this moment. After all, Hua Wudao was from the Yun sect. Perhaps their fight did not end in a draw. There was a chance he had let his former comrade go. Nobody would be able to find out the truth, since there were no eyewitnesses. Hua Wudao immediately cupped his fists and said, "Every word of mine is true. If you don't believe me, Pavilion Master, I'm willing to receive any punishment. Enough of your ruse. My master won't fall for something like that." Mingshi said as he rolled his eyes. Lu Zhou raised his hand slowly and said in a calm tone, "I believe you," while Wudao looked up in shock. He immediately raised his hands. "Thank you." At the same time, Lu Zhou saw Hua Wudao's loyalty went up by 5%. Duanmu Sheng brought Hua Wudao onto the cloud-splitting chariot. "Return to the evil sky pavilion." "Understood." Meanwhile, about 3 miles away from the location of the blast, Luo Shi-san stabbed his sword into the ground to stabilize himself. He panted as he muttered to himself, "That old geezer, he's so powerful, he had depleted all his primal chi from fighting. Who knew an all-powerful sword saint like him would end up in such a battered state? Forget it. To each his own." Luo Shi-san shook his head helplessly. However, just as Luo Shi-san was about to leave, a green-clad swordsman silently appeared at a spot 50 meters ahead of him. The green-clad swordsman carried a long sword on his straight back. "Hello there." Even without strength at this moment, Luo Shi-san was not completely unguarded. He was, naturally, startled by the green-clad swordsman's sudden appearance. "You are—" "My name's Yu Shangrong." Luo Shi-san's eyes widened. He tightened his grip on his sword, trembling. He was in no condition to fight against Yu Shangrong right now. Sword Devil? That is but a name. It's not significant enough to mention. Yu Shangrong turned and studied Luo Shi-san. Luo Shi-san took a step back. "I came here on my sect master's orders to clear the taint on our sect. I have no intention of becoming an enemy of the evil sky pavilion." "You're afraid," Yu Shangrong said. I'm not." "No, you are." Yu Shangrong shook his head lightly. He revealed a faint smile. "There's no need to worry. I won't strike a man when he's down." Luo Shi-san did not believe him. "You're weak, so weak that it's boring." The Yun sect sword Saint Luo Shi-san had never been mocked like this before. He said, "A grand disciple of the evil sky pavilion won't strike a man when he's down?" Yu Shangrong shook his head and said, "You've misunderstood me, sir." "Oh, you're currently very weak." "Boringly so." "So I'll kill you, but in 1 month's time," Yu Shangrong said. Luo Shi-san regarded Yu Shangrong with a complicated gaze. What's he playing at? What a peculiar way of thinking for a villain. He said, "Everyone in the world says that the evil sky pavilion's villains kill without batting an eyelid, so it's true. This means that I have another month to live." Yu Shangrong said in a gentle tone, "In my hometown, there's a plant called lavender. It's very short-lived. It grows in the morning and withers by nightfall. You're much luckier than the lavender." Luo Shirshan was naturally annoyed when he heard this, but he did not dare to show it. "Please." Yu Shangrong made a sweeping gesture with his hand, indicating that Luo Shirshan was free to go. "You won't strike me from the back?" Luo Shirsan could hardly believe this. Yu Shangrong said nothing. Instead, he looked at Luo Shirsan calmly. Luo Shirsan took a deep breath. He barely took a step forward before he face-planted on the ground. Yu Shangrong shook his head and repeated, "Don't be afraid." "I'm not afraid. Throughout the years I've cultivated, I've never feared anyone. This is caused by my exhaustion from fighting against Hua Wudao for a prolonged period," Luo Shirshan said. Yu Shangrong remained silent. Luo Shirsan turned to glance at Yu Shangrong. When he saw Yu Shangrong smiling politely, he felt himself relaxing slightly. He cleared his thoughts and took another step forward. Yun Shangrong reminded him, "I hope you won't forget our agreement, sir." "What agreement?" 1 month later, I'll kill you." Yu Shangrong turned around slowly before he walked away at a speed that was neither fast nor slow. Luo Shirshan's expression turned slightly sour. As he looked at the sword devils retreating back, he said with slight disdain, "I didn't even agree to that. How can you call an agreement?" Luo Shirshan prided himself on his outstanding sword skills. In recent times, he had even made a name for himself. Among those who fought him, in terms of sword techniques, the person he would least like to face was his brother, Luo Chongqing. He had once asked his brother who his brother had least wanted to face, and his brother had named the Sword Devil. However, he could not remember if his brother had ever crossed swords with Sword Devil Yu Shangrong. His brother, Luo Chongqing, had always been a cautious person. If his brother was wary of Yu Shangrong, this meant Yu Shangrong was not inferior to his brother. For this reason, he did not want to face Yu Shangrong. "What does it have to do with you if I want to kill you?" As soon as Yu Shangrong finished speaking, his body turned blurry. In just a blink of an eye, he was already hundreds of feet away. In another blink, he had completely vanished into thin air. Luo Shirsan strained his eyes to look in the direction in which Yu Shangrong had disappeared. He was filled with mixed emotions at this moment. Great Yan's palace. Within the tranquil palace, one of the boudoirs was in a mess. Behind a 6-paneled screen, a charming woman was trembling, and her expression was unsightly. She stood before a bronze mirror, and it could be seen that her face was ghastly pale. "Stay your anger, my lady. His Second Highness has said that we're not to go against the evil sky pavilion ever again," a female cultivator said from the other side of the screen. "What else did His Second Highness say?" "His Second Highness said that he won't investigate further into the death of Lord Qinzhu, and he hopes that you will reflect on this." The charming woman remained silent, and her expression darkened even further. Without warning, she raised a fist and slammed it against the bronze mirror. Bam! Her seemingly gentle movement surprisingly broke the bronze mirror as though her fist was 1,000 caddies' hammer. After that, her anger seemed to have subsided as she regained her composure. Did the clarity sector reply? "In reply to your question, my lady, Pan Li Qian's whereabouts is still unknown. No one has been able to find him until now. Since we can't find him, we'll just have to make him show up on his own. Spread the news about Pan Zhong," the woman said slowly. "Pan Zhong has been exiled from the sect for many years. Now that he's with the Evil Sky Pavilion, will Pan Li Qian still seek him out? Just do as I told you to." The woman sounded calm when she spoke, but the female cultivator hastily bowed and no longer dared to speak. She only said, "Understood." Meanwhile, the cloud-splitting chariot had returned to the Evil Sky Pavilion. Zhou glanced at Fan Xiuwen, whose body was completely charred, and said, "Lock him up and keep him alive." "Understood." Mingshi Yin brought Fan Xiuwen away. "Elder Hua, you've done a lot this time. Hurry up and get some rest," Zhou instructed. "Thank you." while Wu Dao cupped his fist before he turned around and left as well. It was difficult enough for him to maintain his posture in front of everyone in the state he was in. Liu Yuan rushed over to Lu Zhou and asked, "Master, you must be tired as well. Shall I bring you to your quarters to rest?" "No need." Lu Zhou waved his hand. He remembered what Ren Buping had said when they were facing the 10 shamans. Cheng Huang was inside Yi Qianxin. It was not entirely impossible. Wu Sheng had laid down the grand predecessor formation for Yi Qianxin. The palace had been fishing for the bones of the Bai people for a decade. The Cheng Huang from the bays could extend one's life for more than 2,000 years. Was it true? Lu Zhou considered it before he shook his head. If it's true, Ji Tiandao would have been the first one to charge forward, judging by his knowledge and character. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. He wouldn't have allowed the palace to benefit from this. He said, "I'll visit Yi Qianxin." "Oh, I'll accompany you there, master." The two of them went to the South Pavilion. When the group of female cultivators heard that they were going to visit Yi Qianxin, they followed behind them. Many of these female cultivators served Yi Qianxin. Although the derived moon palace was no more, they were still Yi Qianxin's subordinates. In no time at all, they arrived at the South Pavilion. As they stood outside Yi Qianxin's door, Lu Zhou glanced at the female cultivator who guarded the door and asked, "Did Yi Qianxin show any changes today?" "In reply to your question, Pavilion Master, there's no change." "Open the door." "Understood." Lu Zhou entered the room. Yi Qianxin was the same. There had been no changes. She was still lying on the bed, unconscious. Lu Zhou walked aside of the bed and studied Yi Qianxin. Cheng Huang was a beast. How could it be inside Yi Qianxin? Lu Zhou waved his hand gently. Yi Qianxin sat up. "HM? She's breathing." Lu Sheng raised his hand to inspect her breathing. It was very faint. The flow of air came in wisps. Incredible. Lu Zhou's expression remained the same as he struck her with his palm. His primal chi entered her extraordinary 8 meridians. After a brief examination, he shook his head. There were no signs of Cheng Huang. He waved his hand casually again, and she lay back down on the bed. Then he shook his head as he left the room. He truly did not expect her to still have a breath left under such circumstances. It was unfortunate that she was still unconscious. Otherwise, he could have asked her about Cheng Huang directly. "Master, how's she doing?" Liu Yuaner asked. "She's hanging on." "She's alive?" Liu Yuaner's eyes widened. Upon hearing Liu Yuaner's words, the derived moon palace's female cultivators near the door became excited. Just when Lu Zhou was ready to leave, Mingshi came rushing toward him from the North Pavilion. Mingshi bowed before he said, "Master, I've locked Fan showing up. It doesn't seem likely that he'll die for the time being. However, I can't guarantee that he won't die in the future." "Very well. Also, there's a letter for the Evil Sky Pavilion. I think some outsider is trying to make contact with us. I received it without asking for your permission. Who's the sender?" "Wei Zhuyan." "Bring it to me." Lu Zhou received Wei Zhuyan's letter and finished reading it quickly. Then he tossed aside. Mingshi hastily caught it. He read it as well. Then he said with a smile, "The battle against the 10 shamans must have reached his ears. He must be afraid." "Senior brother, what else does it say?" Liu Yuaner asked curiously. "Wei Zhuyan wants to offer his humble apology. He wants to atone for the Fish Dragon Village incident. 2 days from now, he wants to personally visit the Evil Sky Pavilion and clear up the conflict between us." When Duan Muxing heard this, he frowned and said, "I'm surprised he has such a high level of resolve. If it had been anyone else, they would have a mental breakdown and apologize profusely. However, Wei Zhuyan was the commander-in-chief of the 3 armies. He would not have easily lowered his head, judging by his status." Mingshi said, "Junior sister Qianxin's life's wish is to pierce her enemy with her hands." "Quit spouting nonsense." Duan Muxing hastily jabbed Mingshi. Mingshi quickly shut his mouth. Lu Zhou did not mind. Instead, he said scornfully, "She's lucky that she's even alive." When he finished speaking, He returned to the hidden chamber. As soon as Lu Zhou entered the hidden chamber, he called up the system dashboard. Name, Lu Zhou. Race, human. Cultivation base, Brahmin C8 meridians. Merit points, 10,412. Avatar, 6 recombinant trigram lines. Remaining life, 5,992 days. Item, Deadly Strike card X1, Impeccable card X2, Critical Block card X7 passive, Binding Cage X4, Refining Talisman X2, GT Ondao Peak Trial card X1, Witsard resting. Bian. Weapon, unnamed Amorous Hoop owner, Yi Qin Xin. Has to be refined before use. Life Cutter, Nirvana Sash, Tear Stain Box. Cultivation method, 3 scrolls of heavenly writing. Overall, Lu Zhou discovered he did not earn as many merit points as he could have during the battle against the 10 shamans. Not earning as many merit points as he could meant that he had suffered a loss. I have 8 luck points. Lu Zhou considered for a moment and did 3 lucky draws. Fine. 3 thank you messages. Lu Zhou felt that lucky draws had to be done on a whim. If he were not in the mood for it, he would not try it. If he hit the jackpot, it would be a gain. If he did not, he would not feel annoyed as well. I'll save the rest of my merit points to buy whatever cards I need. When I have sufficient points, I'll buy an avatar. 7-star soul, 15,000. Lu Zhou checked the avatar's price in the mall. He was reminded of Yu Chong, Duan Yanhong, Wu Sheng, and the Red Rogue cultivators. Perhaps, if he had managed to kill them, he would have enough merit points now to buy an avatar. Lu Zhou shook his head to rid his mind of this idea. Nobody could be certain of what would be different if the past had played out differently. Heavenly writing. Lu Zhou entered his comprehension state. Previously, when he was in the cloud-splitting chariot, the heavenly writing's extraordinary power broke the witchcraft spell on Fan Xiuwen and weakened many of its effects. Lu Zhou felt that the extraordinary power must be extremely effective against powers that mess with one's mind, such as confounding spells or the Brahmin lullaby. Also, it was easily triggered. Before he could restore his strength to its peak, he would have to rely on this extraordinary power. 2 days later, Lu Zhou opened his eyes after he emerged from the comprehension state. He could not remember how many times he had comprehended the heavenly writing. However, he could never understand the scroll's meanings. Even so, he did not mind. As long as he could obtain extraordinary power, it did not matter if he understood it or if the comprehension state was very boring. Little Yuaners sounded like she was in a rush as she said, "Master," Wei Zhuyan actually came. Her tone was filled with disbelief.